up, everybody? This is Jose with Oakland Latinos United, aka Oakland Latinos Unidos, on here with a new video for you guys to enjoy. Well, I was watching a video the other day, and it was by Flaco, and he was talking about Cinco de Mayo in San Jose. And it gave me a little inspiration to want to make a video like this about Cinco de Mayo in the Bay Area, or the East Bay, you know what I mean? And my memories of Cinco de Mayo back in the days in Oakland, in San Francisco, Richmond, and even San Jose. And I'll give you guys some stories, some of the craziness that used to happen, and some of the fun that used to happen. But yeah, this is my latest spiel, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. So this one is called Cinco de Mayo, Bay Area Stories. So back in the days, you know, everybody knows that Cinco de Mayo in California, and yes, I don't want to hear the argument, well, Cinco de Mayo is not a Mexican holiday, and blah, 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 blah. It's only celebrated here. That is true, but you got to remember, at the time, I was a little kid. I didn't really know what Cinco de Mayo really was. I knew that it was a battle in Puebla, and we can make a video about that a whole nother time, about what Cinco de Mayo is and why they might celebrate in the U.S. But either way, Cinco de Mayo, or May 5th, as it is in English, always came around. And it was always, one could say, the Dia de la Raza for people in the Bay Area. For Latinos, Raza, Chicanos in the Bay Area, Mexicanos. And it was always for sure going to be the day where there was going to be maybe a Cinco de Mayo party at your school. There was probably going to be a lot of people skipping school. There was probably going to be people hanging out, cruising. You know what I mean? There was probably going to be parades, festivals, all kinds of stuff. And that was Cinco de Mayo. And like I said, it was always the time when Chicanos and young raza always looked forward to, because it was a day where you could come out shining, dressing nice, you know what I mean? Bringing out your nicest car, going out and, you know, try to see if you could get at a female. You know, you creased up your Benz, your Dickies, you know what I mean? Your 501s. Looking clean and fitted, you feel me? Your troop outfit, your Lottos, your Diodoras, whatever, you know what I mean? This was the time to shine. And there was always something going on in Cinco de Mayo, whether it be Oakland, whether it be San Francisco, whether it was Richmond, whether it was Hayward, whether it was San Jose, etc. So I want to tell you my memories of Cinco de Mayo in Oakland first. And many out there might remember back in the days when they used to have the big Cinco de Mayo parade and festival. This is in front of San Antonio Park, this picture right here. Back in like the late 80s, early 90s, they used to have the big parade down East 14th from the 40s all the way down to San Antonio Park, and they would have a big festival at the park. It was always on the weekend of Cinco de Mayo. It was always a dope affair, you know what I mean? This is in 1996. This picture right here of the parade, Taqueria Morelia, Talk of the Town. Those of you who remember that spot, you feel me? And that's OPD in front of San Antonio Park. You can see the festival at the top, you know what I mean? And it was always a dope event, you know? All the homies from everywhere. This is 1995, Cinco de Mayo, the parade down East 14th. And it was always, like I said, in Oakland, it was always a day the homies were going to get together. All the raza was going to get together. All the cars were going to come out. The lowriders, the Cougars, the Mustangs, the Falcons, whatever. The mini trucks, as you see right there in that picture. That could probably tell you that's the early 90s or late 80s. And, yeah, it was always a time people would come out. You know what I mean? I remember after the festival, people would cruise down East 14th, the lowriders showing off their cars. Some fools would do sideshows with the Mexican flag, burning donuts up and down East 14th. And it was always just the event, you know what I mean? But also there was a lot of danger at the event. A lot of gangs would show up, you know, usually because it would be at San Antonio Park. And sometimes later on, like around 98, 99, they changed it from San Antonio Park to Fruitvale East 14th, the festival. They used to have the big festival. They would block down the street and have the big festival. A lot of gangs would show up. You know, the Norteños were always the deepest because, you know, the Fruitvale area, the Doves and all that was Norteño territory. You know, the 36, 38, Fruitvale gangsters, you know what I mean? Mitchell Street. Sometimes Quince would show up. I never seen too many of the UNT guys from the 60s there as much. They might have been there, but I don't remember seeing them. 41st, and all the other hoods would be there. You know what I mean? Sometimes you would get the Border Brothers showing up. Once in a while, you'd get Sureños showing up, and for sure there was going to be a fight. You know, homies got killed on Cinco de Mayo. You know what I mean? There were a couple shootouts on Cinco de Mayo where homies got killed on both sides, you know. And I could remember one Cinco de Mayo, I was there. I was wearing a red Oakland shirt. And I remember there was a group of, I don't know if they were Border Brothers or Sureños, but they were trying to catch fool slipping by the Fruitvale BART. And I seen them, bro, and I turned around. I said, I ain't gonna get jumped by them fools, because I seen them out there starting shit with people. But they were in the cuts where none of the homies were at. So, I could remember seeing that back in the days. And yeah, it used to get wild, man. It used to get wild back in the days. It was for sure an event that could get you caught up. You know what I mean? A lot of 5-0 used to be out there. But either way, however you look at it, Cinco de Mayo used to crack in Oakland back in the days. That's what I miss. The old school parades, the festivals at the park were on East 14th, people cruising. You know what I mean? They don't do shit like that in Oakland no more. They don't do a Cinco de Mayo festival no more like that. And it's sad, man. It's sad that a big tradition like that is gone. You know what I mean? But we still have the Dia de los Muertos festival, which is similar, but it's not the same, you know? I miss that event. Hopefully one day someone brings it back. Someone in the city or someone decides to bring it back. Because I remember it used to crack. It used to be fun. And for sure, you know what I mean? That's my Oakland memories of Cinco de Mayo. Now let's take it over to the city of the rich town, Richmond, Califas. Now Richmond has a long history with Raza. It has an old school Raza community just like Oakland. You know what I mean? And just like Oakland, it's known as a black town, but it always had Raza for sure. And, some of the biggest Cinco de Mayo events in the East Bay and the 510 were in Richmond. You know what I mean? They would cruise down 23rd Street, which is well known for cruising lowriders, you know what I mean? Going back to the 70s. You know what I mean? They would have a big festival. They would close down 23rd and have a big festival. This is pictures of the actual festival. They would have a parade down 23rd. People would cruise on 23rd. It was always off the hook on Cinco de Mayo in Richmond as well. And I lived in Richmond for a while, and I got to see what it was like to party in Richmond on Cinco de Mayo. And it was always live, you know what I mean? It was always lit, you know what I mean, for sure. Like I said, if you weren't in Oakland, you go to Cinco de Mayo and it's Richmond and Cinco de Mayo and catch you some action, you know what I mean? And again, just like in Oakland, there used to be a lot of Southsiders there. Sometimes Norteños would show up too, and fights would break out, shootings would happen, you know what I mean? And different stuff, unfortunately. Sadly, Raza events are always, you know what I mean, troubled by the violence on the streets. But one year I remember particular, I think it was 2000, I think, or 2001. They were cruising on 23rd Street in Richmond, Cinco de Mayo, and the police came in riot gear and shooting tear gas and beating people up. One of my homies, he's an activist from Richmond named Andres Soto. He was beat up and arrested by the police, and a bunch of just innocent people, bro, that weren't gangbanging or nothing, just Raza that were out in the street got arrested. And there was a big lawsuit that was put against the Richmond Police Department back then. You know what I mean? For racism, for discrimination, for intimidation. And, the police stopped doing that. They started doing the big festival, and it's been pretty peaceful. They were just cruising in Richmond the other day. And I took a little video of it because I was out there visiting family in the Rich. And yeah, man, it was peaceful and no problems. Hopefully, they haven't been doing the big festival in the picture because of the COVID, but hopefully they bring it back. Now let's take it over to San Francisco. San Francisco used to also crack back in the days. Back in the days, they used to have the big parade down Mission Street. You feel me? And they would have the festival on 24th Street. I remember going a couple times, and it was pretty cool. You know what I mean? I was always in the East Bay for Cinco de Mayo, but I do remember going once or twice to Frisco just to check it out, just to see something different. And I remember back then they used to crack, man. They used to do the cruising down Mission. They would have the parade. They would have the big festival. Again, a lot of gangs, A lot of the 24th Street Norteños and 19th Street Sureños used to be at it. MS-13 on 20th Street. You know, it used to be straight barrio warfare back in the days. But at the same time, it was fun. You know what I mean? If you weren't caught up in the gang drama, you feel me? It was always bound to be fun. You know, the Missions District used to always crack. You know, old school barrio, a lot of history, just like the Fruit Belt and just like Richmond. You know what I mean? And, yeah, man, sadly, again, they don't really do these events anymore like they used to. And it sucks. They do other events that are similar, but they don't do like Cinco de Mayo anymore like they used to. And that kind of sucks, man, because I do miss it. Now, we're going to talk about the cream of the crop when it comes to Cinco de Mayo in the Bay Area. The most well-known Cinco de Mayo event or a kickback in the Bay is in San Jose, in San Jose. You know what I mean? You know, known worldwide, you know what I mean? Everybody knows about San Jose on Cinco de Mayo. It was always the time to go shine, bring out your lowrider, bring out your muscle car, bring out your Falcon, your Cougar, bring out your Cadillac, whatever you had, you know what I mean? Bring that motherfucker out. You know, San Jose was probably the closest I seen to like Boulevard Night type thing, you know what I mean? Just bumper to bumper traffic, people just chilling everywhere. You feel me? Lowriders everywhere, homies and females everywhere, you know. It was always Cinco de Mayo, and people from all over the Bay Area would come to San Jose to cruise on Cinco de Mayo. People from Oakland, Hayward, you know what I mean? Richmond, Frisco, Redwood City, South City, you know, everywhere, you know, everywhere you could think of, people would go out to San Jose and cruise, you know what I mean? And you had the homies from San Jose and from the surrounding 408 area for sure out there representing. But San Jose was always, you know, lit, you know what I mean? Again, there were always gang problems, you know, between the Norteños and Sureños, you know what I mean? You always had to be alert out there. You know, there was a riot out there in 1997, you know what I mean, in downtown San Jose. But a lot of times the police will provoke that because they start shutting down the streets and kicking people out and coming out with riot gear and stuff. So a lot of that was provoked, you know what I mean? But I have a story that happened to me on Cinco de Mayo. I was out there with my homie D, may he rest in peace, and we were out there on Cinco de Mayo, chilling, you know what I mean, checking out the females, kicking back. And he had a 1965 Pontiac Catalina, white one. And my homie was an active norteño, you know what I mean? I wasn't, but he was my homie. We were out there cruising, and I remember we were on Santa Clara Street, but I think Santa Clara, when you cross King and like Story, no, King, is that King Road, I think? It becomes another street. I forget what it's called. But Alum Rock, I think it becomes. And I remember we were chilling in traffic, and we seen a group of dudes running towards a car, and we were like, what the hell? And, you know, I don't know if they were Norteños, Sureños. It was hard to tell what they were. But they were running up to the cars with backs. And I told my homie, hey, bro, you better fucking get on the next lane and get the fuck out of here. And, you know, it was bumper to bumper like you see in this picture, man. But for some weird reason, there was a lane that was open. No cars there. And we just hit that lane and booked it. And all these motherfuckers just came out of the woodwork, just throwing shit at the car, trying to hit the car with the baseball bat. It was crazy. And I remember we kind of drove forward a few feet, like about a mile, and then we went into a parking lot to see if the car was damaged. And then another car rolled up. We didn't know who it was. We thought it was them dudes. So we were ready to throw down. And some dudes came out and said they were from West Side San Jose, and they seen what happened. And they're like, hey, bro, you want to go back there and fuck them up, bro? We got your back. And they were strapped up. And we were just like, nah, it's cool, bro. And they were like, all right, bro, we'll be safe out here. And, yeah, man, that was a crazy time, man. And that's just how it used to be in the Bay. You just had to be careful. You could get caught slipping, whether it was Oakland, whether it was Richmond, whether it was San Francisco, San Jose, wherever it may be, that's how it was. But, yeah, man, those are just my stories about my memories in the Bay Area in Cinco de Mayo. You know what I mean? No matter what city you were in, it wasn't just in San Jose. Any city you were in the Bay Area was always going to crack, especially if you were in Oakland or Richmond or Frisco. it was for sure guaranteed to crack. You know what I mean? But for sure, it was always going to crack in San Jose. And that's just my stories. All right, y'all. Have a happy Cinco de Mayo. Don't get too drunk out there. Don't get too faded. I know Cinco de Mayo's over, but if you're still partying, just be careful out there. All right, y'all. I'm going to talk to y'all later.